Hello everyone, welcome to Dnyanadeep. In this session, we are going to discuss one more PYQ from ethics and we'll see how that particular question can be approached. Here is the question from 2023 paper. It is regarding the quotations and what these quotations are conveying us a message in present context. So, in present context, how these quotations are important, how these quotations are relevant, that is something we are supposed to talk regarding. Now, this first quotation is from Mahatma Gandhi. It is saying the simplest acts, there should be acts, the simplest acts of kindness are by far more powerful than 1,000 heads bowing in prayer. Fine. So once again, I'll read. The simplest acts of kindness are far more powerful than 1,000 heads bowing in prayer. So what Gandhi wants to convey in this particular part, that as a human being, we have our religious duties, and as a matter of religious duty, we certainly pray for everyone's well-being. But at the same time, he is suggesting that the act of kindness or whatever you act in your day-to-day life, be it as an individual or if you are talking from ethics perspective or ethics paper, so we have to be kind as an individual, we have to be kind as a public servant, and that kindness should also be reflected at the level of governance. Fine. So that is something we have to understand from this particular question, because the act of kindness is far more important than whatever we are going to pray for. Fine. So that is how I have set the context for this particular question. Now let us understand dimensions of ethics in this particular part. So when it comes to the act of kindness, it is more about our values in human life. It is also about values as a public servant, and it is equally relevant when it comes to our emotional intelligence and our emotional quotient, because somewhere again these acts are going to reflect how emotionally intelligent we are, and they are also going to help us whenever we do some kind act. It has some positive emotional effect on our personality. So somewhere or the other, it is also related with the emotional intelligence and the issue of emotion quotient. So these are the dimensions of ethics. Moving on to the introduction. There are two ways I can go forward to introduction. One can be a very generic way. Okay, in generic way, what I am saying, values and morals are more significant than any other acts, as they are important in shaping our day-to-day life, right? So kindness is what? It is a value we practice on a day-to-day basis, or we should practice on a day-to-day basis, because whatever acts we are going to do, if we practice those acts with kindness, it is certainly going to have a very profound impact at individual level, at the level of society, even at the level of governance. Fine. So that is something I'm trying to suggest when I'm having this generic introduction. Now, other way to introduce can be to define kindness. If I have to choose between two, I would rather go with the definition of kindness. I will have my understanding reflected in the very first line. The moment I define kindness in very simple, lucid manner, it reflects my better understanding of this particular topic or this particular idea. Okay? So there are two ways, either go for generic definition or defined kindness. I will personally prefer the second one. Once I have defined kindness, now comes the challenge. Challenge is, the question was asking everything from the present day context. Unless we set a present day context, whatever we are going to talk here onwards is not going to make much of a sense, right? So I'm not suggesting that you should write half a page on present day context, or maybe 4 or 5 lines on present day context. That is something I'm not suggesting, but somewhere or the other, in one line, or even maybe with a help of a sun diagram or something, you should set what is the reality of this day and age. What are the problems which we are facing at an individual level, at a societal level, or even at the level of governance. So at individual level, what do we find? Life has become self-centered. Then at the level of society, what do we have? Look at social bonding. It has maybe I would opine that social bonding is at its lowest, right? Go to any village, any mohalla, anywhere, we find that since people have become self-centered, there is lack of social bonding, right? And since there is self-centeredness, lack of social bonding, our acts are not kind enough, right? Similarly, if I go to the level of governance, with the aid of technology, though technology has many positive effects, but once technology has come, it has reduced human face or human interface from that. And once human is absent between the in the process of interaction between the government and the public, the act of kindness or compassion, it goes on missing. Everything becomes very mechanical. So it may happen that a particular person is in a dire need of something, but since there is no human who is going to understand the need, may not be helped with, right? So that is something which comes with technology, and that is why again I am saying that there is lack of compassion when it comes to the government. Ultimately, there are often incidences where we find that public servants are not kind enough, not compassionate enough, and ultimately it will result into a negative outcome. What is the negative outcome of this particular situation? There is a lot of conflict which is going on. Now, just imagine what this particular question is trying to tell you. It is telling you that maybe whatever present day conflict we have, weak social bonding we have, lack of community resilience we have, is coming from where? Maybe it is coming from the fact that we are not being enough kind. So that is the present day context I wanted to set in here. Now I am not again time and again I am repeating, do not write a para 4-5 lines on this particular part, but just draw one or the other diagrams. What do we have, or what are the challenges we have in present times, and certainly then the acts of kindness are going to solve those particular challenges. Fine. So this is my present day context. Moving on to the why these acts of kindness are more powerful. So you have to talk about how as a public servant, or you as a public servant, these acts of kindness are going to be powerful, what positive change they are going to bring in. As a member of society, what it is going to add, and ultimately you also have to talk about you as an individual, how these acts of kindness going to transform you as an individual. So when I say as a public servant, it is certainly going to create a more responsible, a responsive governance, a governance which has a lot of empathy, a lot of compassion, and ultimately this is nothing but going to create an ethical leadership. I am just giving you a very limited perspective. You can elaborate on this particular line more and more. Try to put examples for each and every single case. When I go to the level of society, my act of kindness is certainly going to result into a better social bonding, higher community resilience, community building, right? And overall, it will have a positive impact in creating an ethical society. If you look at the current state of society, what the problem we find? This society is not enough ethical, right? There are more or less ethical lapses we find at every place. Fine. So certainly this is going to result into a better and ethical society. Now at individual levels, here I come with now emotional quotient and emotional intelligence. Now this emotional intelligence and emotional quotient wala part can come here also as a public servant. Now as an individual, it will reduce my negative behavior. More kind I act, more better I become, right? It will result into my emotional well-being. It will help me strengthening my relationship. So overall, I have the effect of kindness at the level of governance, at the level of society, and also at the level of individual. Now I can also talk about the kind act at institutional level or the level of government. Okay, two more layer can be added in here. Maybe there is one agency, one institute where we find that whatever decisions, whatever solutions which are going to which are found out at institutional level, they have a component of kindness, right? So certainly that will build more confidence towards that particular institution. Similarly, the governments which act with kindness are seen in a very positive light, right? So this is what we are supposed to address in this particular question. Maybe you may think that we are not just elucidating the given quotation, but understand, when we are writing in ethics paper, we have to introduce whatever we have in the syllabus of ethics. So just take help of this quotation, match it with syllabus and create your point. So that is the simplest act you can do when you are writing any quotation based answer. So finally, let's move on to conclusion. But before conclusion, make sure that for each and every segment you have your own examples. In conclusion, I am writing that my kind act is going to result into a positive change in governance, in society and at an individual level. So sort of a generic type of an conclusion I am going to write here. Maybe you can add some more layers of conclusion, whatever you feel like. So this was about one more question from ethics paper. See you again in next question.